could see. I gave my land, my people, and my houses by the sea. I gave my farms, my cattle, my flowers and my ferns. I gave it all so everyone could learn. It's just one earth.
And you're listening to WBAI New York, 99.5 FM and WBAI.org. If you missed any of Tiogas and Ghost Horse show, you can hear it on the WBAI.org website in about 5 or 10 minutes. But starting right now is Ecologic with Ken Gale and Donna Stein, and we'll be talking about a lot of different environmental issues. So you don't want to miss that either. And now I'm going to open with a different song than usual, my favorite Pete Seeger song, Thank You for Max for Fixing It.
300 years ago, Sir Thomas More invented the word utopia, where everything was going to be hunky-dory. But now we know it's going to be a green-powered Earth, and that'll be Solartopia. Was there an Adam? Was there an Eve, or did we evolve from what we conceived? Either way, we got what we needed when the sun shone down on the Garden of Eden.
Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia, Solartopia, Solartopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia all over God's green world?
Well, we bit that apple and the garden was lost, and so we had to work to pay the cost. And so we went digging into the ground and started to burn many things we found. But
don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia, Solartopia, Solartopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia all over God's green world?
Well, we multiplied, we needed more. The rich got rich, the poor got sore. The fuel ran scarce, the price jumped high, and so they gave nuclear power a try. But
don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia, Solartopia, Solartopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia all over God's green world?
But the nuclear plants were built in haste, with too many risks and no place for waste. And so from Seabrook to Shoreham town, we have to shut those new plants down. But
don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia, Solartopia, Solartopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia all over God's green world?
Now we're fighting wars over oil and gas. No matter who wins, it will not last. The earth is scarred, the planet is warming. Don't you think that all of it's a great big warning?
Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia, Solartopia, Solartopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia all over God's green world? We'll learn to power houses and cars from the light that's made up in the stars. It's a gift to share that's always been given. It falls down to earth like rain from heaven. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia, Solartopia, Solartopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia all over God's green world?
one more time.
Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia, Solartopia, Solartopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a Solartopia all over God's green world?
This is the wonderful positive way of approaching the problem. Don't just say don't. Let's say do something good. And this is the most exciting time in the world to be living. There's never been such an exciting time. Wind power, sun power.
Now you might have heard the big news that Clearwater is all set to go with the Clearwater Festival on Father's Day weekend in June. And to honor that, WBAI is giving out tickets. If you call in...
Well, not giving them exactly.
No. Yeah, no.
We ask for a donation.
For a donation of $95, you can get which is the early bird price. We're already past the early bird. So it's the early bird price to help support WBAI. 100% of the proceeds go to WBAI. WBAI and Clearwater are working together this year, and WBAI will be at the festival the entire weekend, like they have been years ago.
Yep. And of course, WBAI and Clearwater together started the festival back in the early 70s. And we used to do a lot of programming from there, interviewing activists. There's a lot of different activists and different issues, not only environmental issues, although mostly. There's craftspeople, and I one time brought a goat to the air.
And he bleeped on cue.
She did. She bleeped on cue. It was amazing. And Peter Beauchamp was like, I said, so what did you do? Why did you bring a goat to the air? And Peter was like, why did you bring a goat to the air? And of course, it was a very important political issue that she was the spokesgoat for. But there's a lot of good energy. It's interesting because you have all these activists doing very, very serious work, but the festival is so much fun that you don't have this kind of heavy-handed, super serious sort of thing, because we're all doing this together, and we're working together, and there's all this great music, 5 stages of music going on at the same time, and the show we're doing today, we're going to bring you some of the people who are at Clearwater, who will work on various political issues, and so I'll have them introduce themselves so that you have a voice to go with the name. We'll start with you, Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin Maydell, and I'm a research and policy analyst for Grace Communications Foundation in Manhattan, and I work on water footprints. We have a water footprint calculator located at watercalculator.org, and actually you can find that on Clearwater's website on the environmental action page. So last year was my first year going to Clearwater, and I absolutely loved it. I brought my neighbor with me, and we had a wonderful time. And so I decided to make this year my first time as a volunteer at the festival. Yay! And when I checked out the website to see how I could help, I was really surprised to see how many opportunities there are listed on the website. I mean, there are a lot of really great ways that people can get involved. So I'm excited about seeing what I end up getting chosen to do. And, you know, I really appreciate Clearwater's work protecting the Hudson because I live on the Hudson River. I live in the Bronx, right on the Hudson River. And it's important to me, and I want everybody to know how wonderful and beautiful this river is. So I really appreciate the work that Clearwater does.
Marilyn?
Amen to that. Yeah.
So Marilyn, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Marilyn Ellie. I'm a member of the Indian Point Safe Energy Coalition, which has been involved with Indian Point for a long time. And I've been a member of Clearwater for an equally long time. I don't see much of the festival because I spend a lot of my time during those 2 days in the activist section, but it's an outreach to people who aren't familiar with nuclear power or the or what we're trying to do with Indian Point. So the activist section, I think, is something that is really unique to Clearwater, and it's been part of the festival since the very beginning. I think it's one of the things that makes our great Hudson River Revival really unique. It's not just music; it's about the way you live your life. There's the green tent where you can meet a lot of people and find a lot of books and information about how to live with a less carbon footprint. Solar power. Last revival, I think the whole festival was run on solar power, at least most of it. So Clearwater is it's a lot of fun. It's a family that comes together. Actually, the Clearwater family that comes together to make all the stages and lay down the electricity lines and lay out where different things are going to be. It seems like every year the activist section is in a little different place, and people may have to look for it. But I really hope they do. I hope they do and come and meet some of the people that have been working for a long time to make this planet a better place.
MJ, are you with us? Nope, not yet. Okay. And when you mentioned the solar panels, Richard Gottfried, who was one of the people who was putting solar cells on the satellites for NASA back in the 60s, he was the person, he and his students, he was teaching solar, and he and his students would install solar panels the beginning of the week before the festival. So the solar panels were making electricity and putting it in the grid the whole time. So there was actually they put in more energy into the grid than they actually take out. And and one of the stages is run with wind credits, and the recyclers are just wonderful. And as soon as MJ gets in, we can talk more about that. But
I'm back.
Yay!
Hey. We love you, MJ.
I was just talking about the recycling, and you work in zero waste. So tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is MJ Wilson, and I am a Zero Waste Co-Coordinator at the festival, and I've been doing that since 2010. So I'm a relative newbie. There are people on the Zero Waste Committee who have brought their children to do what they did when they were children at the festival. And it's pretty amazing. The Zero Waste team, it's an awesome team, and I love what I do, and I think the zero waste aspect of the festival is hugely important. And we have actually, as of last year, achieved an 84% diversion rate out of all the materials for the festival. All of them. Back of house, front of house, audience, musicians. Only 16% of that material gets trashed.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That's it.
And it's
how do you manage to do that?
Blood, sweat, tears, and heroic efforts, and a lot of people helping. It's the staff help plan the infrastructure for us before the festival. And what we do is we have zero waste stations throughout the grounds, so there aren't any isolated trash cans. So we have our zero waste stations, and we have our volunteers there, and they are what we regard as zero waste ambassadors and educators. So as when people have materials that they want to get rid of, they come up to the zero waste stations, and the volunteers help them process the material. Is it compostable? Is it recyclable? Or sadly, does it go trash? And the festival is at Croton Point Park, and the county parks people have really embraced this, and they're 100% partnering with us and help the efforts as well. And a lot of the audience members are really gung-ho about it, and the ones who aren't, some of them become converts. Mm-hmm. And it's an amazing thing, and it's a lot of goodwill, a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, and we get it done, I have a really high return rate on the team. The people are dedicated to doing this. They know it makes a difference at the festival and on the planet.
And we can talk about how Toshi Seeger founded this, the Zero Waste program.
Toshi was the original Zero Waste coordinator. It was called Litter Pickers at the time. and as I understand it, she started. She was one of the advocates to start a music festival as a way of teaching environmentalism. And she had been to festivals before and was just appalled at how messy and sloppy people were. And so she said, if we're going to start a festival, this is going to be different. And it from the very first festival, an important component was helping people reduce what they waste. And the world has gotten more sophisticated in how we can do that from the first festival, because there was not a whole lot of things you could recycle. But as it's been understood, the importance of it more and more, there are more things we can recycle, and there are compostable materials that we can work with that they didn't have available at the start. And she started it as a family thing, because she wanted families to be able to come and participate in the festival, not just sit and listen to music, but also participate in the festival.
And it's still a family-oriented event.
The festival is, and also the Zero Waste team also is still family-oriented. Kids can sign. Well, I think the 11 and 12. As long as there's an adult on the festival ground, they can sign up for the Zero Waste team independent. And it's awesome when you got some younger people at the Zero Waste stations because they love telling adults what to do.
And the food vendors all have compostable eating stuff, right?
It's by contract. When they sign their contract, that's a requirement that it has to be compostable.
So all the forks and spoons, they look like they're plastic, but they're compostable. They're not plastic at all.
Right, and there are times when there are mistakes, and my team is trained to be vigilant, and they report if there's any issues.
They're great.
And we do go back to the vendor, and there are times when we say, no, this is not acceptable, you have to pull this.
Now, MJ, there is some noise behind you, and I think that is really exciting what's going on where you are right now. These people that are talking behind you are the core group of volunteers that make a Clearwater Festival happen. And just to remind everybody, you can get your Clearwater Festival tickets from WBAI by calling in, and 100% of the proceeds go to WBAI.
And you're listening to Ecologic on WBAI New York, 99.5 FM, and WBAI.org. We're here every other Tuesday from 8 p.m. until 9 p.m. when Out FM comes on.
And so, MJ, tell us about that excitement in the background.
Well, actually, they're in the middle of something. The festival, there's a small group of Clearwater staff who are responsible for certain aspects of the festival, but there's over 1,000 volunteers who make sure the festival happens. And all of it, when you go to the website to look at what to volunteer as, whether it's peacekeeper, T-shirts, children's area, all those different areas that you can sign up, there are volunteers who head those committees. And that's called the Revival Planning Committee. And I think there's like maybe 80 of us. It fluctuates. It ebbs and flows. And we meet throughout the year to help the festival director and the Clearwater staff put the festival together. And right now, we're deep in the planning. We started a little late this year. And we meet monthly. There's a lot of different meetings that go on between, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails that go on. And then as it gets closer to the festival, we go out to Croton Point Park, we walk the grounds, we discuss any issues, is there anything different in the park from last year? Then we have a couple potlucks to really just work on, do we have enough volunteers? How can we get more volunteers if we need more? When do we stage things?
It's funny you should mention that, MJ, because
someone that spoke a few minutes before you did is on the line now. Her name is Robin Medell. And Robin came to Clearwater last year for the first time, and this year was so excited about it that this year is going to be volunteering. And so you might, what we like to do here is talk to our listeners and tell everybody that you can volunteer. Just like Robin was excited and is excited to do this, we need more volunteers on the revival planning committee volunteers.
Well, there are a few coordinator spots that are open, and they can contact the Clearwater office about that if they want to take on a huge job. Most people, it's best to start out as a regular volunteer.
Sure.
And one of the cool things about that is that your volunteer commitment starts on Friday night and ends on Sunday, and you can camp on the park grounds. So you can come in on a Friday night, and you don't got to leave till Sunday. You don't have to commute if you don't want to, and they provide. We have a volunteer food kitchen that provides food. There is a modest charge for volunteering to help defray the cost, because the idea that the point of the festival isn't just to be a fundraiser. It is about community, building community, letting people experience that. And being exposed to all of these different environmental programs and green living programs and the whole richness of what Clearwater Festival has to offer, arts and crafts, artisanal, farm, work and waterfront, all this stuff. But you get to be there the whole weekend. You get to be walking the grounds when the audience is all gone. You get to be there at dawn on the river.
It is a beautiful place to be. And
Friday night is always it's always special for me, because the festival is set up, the lights come on, and it's walking around sort of like a preview of what's to come, but it's just very magical. And then to walk down to the riverside and have the Hudson practically all to yourself is something else that's really special. So Friday night, when people come in, set up, and get everything ready, and then leave to go eat or whatever, you can really walk around and see the festival in a whole different light.
There are food vendors there for regular attendees.
There's something else I'd like to... Oh, Ken, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. I didn't know you talk over.
I want to mention to people, because the festival takes place all day on June 15th and June 16th. That's Father's Day weekend. And there are food vendors there, so you can either bring food or buy food there. The volunteers get separate food that is cooked for them. It's part of volunteering, and I have volunteered there, and the food is great.
Yeah, it's almost worth volunteering. That food is really good. And what is talking about the Clearwater Festival without talking about music? All right, well, that wasn't my best musical voice. All right, so just a partial list of musicians that are coming is the Wailers, Annie DeFranco, Railroad Earth. We're going to take turns.
And
the Mammals.
The Mammals, Tom Paxton and the Don Juans, Tom Chapin, Antigone Rising.
Guy Davis, I love Guy Davis. Matt Pless, Kristen Graves, Los Cintron, Scott Sherrard, David Amram, Josh White Jr., Joel Raphael, Roger Street Friedman,
Cliff Eberhardt, Vance Gilbert, Tom Chicon, Leslie Mendelson, Joni Leeds, Darlene Graham, and that's just a partial list. There are a lot. The website is clearwaterfestival.org, and you can click on it and find out who the performers are, and the stage schedules, how to volunteer, everything is on clearwaterfestival.org. And there's also a dance stage, and And I probably spend about half of my time, if I'm not at the activist area, at the dance stage, because the music is so great. And I heard my first Zydeco band at the Clearwater Festival, and fell in love with Zydeco music, or Zydeco dance music. I know not all Zydeco music is dance music, and
I don't even know what Zydeco.
How does a woman born in New Orleans not know what Zydeco music is? Well, then I'll have to take...
You can tell by my accent I left New Orleans pretty
Well,
early.
yeah. Okay, well, when the Zydeco band comes on, we're going to go to the dance stage together, and you can hear some of your heritage.
Oh, okay.
But at any rate, you're listening to Ecologic on WBAI New York, 99.5 FM and WBAI.org. I'm Ken Gale.
And I'm Donna Stein.
And our guests are... start with Marilyn.
Robin.
Oh, okay.
Guys, right. I have to start with somebody.
MJ.
When everybody's in the studio, we can point to who goes next.
Right.
Right. It's a little hard on the radio. Just like to you.
Yeah, so Marilyn works with energy issues, and MJ works with I guess recycling and zero waste issues, and Robin works with water issues, and
the calculator. Robin, did you talk about the calculator?
Just very briefly, I mentioned the website. Is there time now to talk about it?
Yeah, yes. Sure. Tell us why it's important and where to find it on the Clearwater website.
Okay, it's a personal use water footprint calculator. It's on the Clearwater website on the environmental action page, and if you can't find it there, it's available at watercalculator.org, and it's also available in Spanish. We put the calculator together as a means of basically letting people hold up a mirror to themselves to understand their water use. And it's not just their water use from a tap, it's also their virtual water use, which is the water that it takes to make food, to make consumer goods, to make the electricity in your house, to make the transportation fuels in your car. And so it gives you a fairly complete picture of how your habits and your behaviors impact your overall water use.
And it's because you tell people not just that you might use too much water, but how you can use less. It's a real can-do kind of way of looking at things. And I'm on the Clearwater.org website, and I'm looking for.
It's on the environmental action page.
Environmental action, okay.
And the interesting thing about it is our virtual water use in certain categories like food and consumer goods is significantly higher than our tap water use, our direct water use. And that's because, for example, in the case of food, especially if you eat meat, it takes a lot of water to water the crops that the animals eat. And so that adds up and ends up giving you a fairly high water footprint. And it's primarily about crop irrigation with food. And then with consumer goods, it's all the water it takes for manufacturing. And there is a big push for companies to look at their water use, do their life cycle analyses, and try to cut water because it's a bottom line issue for them. And also, as the climate changes, any place is subject to a drought. Even in New York City, there could be a drought up in our watershed that could impact the water available to us. And so it's really only in companies' best interest to figure out how to use as little water as possible in their processing. And the calculator just scratches the surface of what's involved in that. But there's a whole site built around the calculator that gives you more information about how you use water, how you eat water, for example, why it takes so much water to make the products that you use. And anything that you use. All of our products take water.
Right, and I know that you're working with one of our board members, Kyle Rabin, on this, and this is all working with Manager Green, our environmental action director of Clearwater, and we thank you,
Yes,
Kyle
that's
and
right.
Kyle and Manna, for bringing this forward. And without them, we wouldn't know you, Robin.
And speaking
Yeah,
of
yeah. Kyle's a great guy.
speaking of
Can I
using
add
water,
something
Marilyn.
here? I'm sorry?
I was saying, Marilyn, you can talk about water being used for about Indian
Well,
Point.
Absolutely. It does. But first, the point I really wanted to make first was sort of an umbrella kind of thing. Clearwater, you go to Clearwater and you get all energized, but then you have the opportunity to take things back to your own meetings, your own activist groups, and your own circles. And you go back armed with a lot more information. And I think that's a ripple effect that is really important. And you go back every year, and sometimes you meet the same people and find out even more, or certainly the same topics are there. So taking Clearwater back into the community, I think, is one of the best things that can happen as a result of the revival. But water use for nuclear power is huge. That's why you find all of the plants located on a water body like the Hudson River. So,
That's
true. It's used it's thermoelectric power. Nuclear is the same as coal and natural gas plants. They all use water. They don't all. A lot of them use water to cool the processed water that they create. And you're right. That's why a lot of them are located next to water bodies, because they need that cooling water. And it's a lot of water, and it's very damaging to the local ecosystem.
It's been very damaging to the Hudson River. People look at the river and it looks fine on top, but if you look at the kind of fish that are there now, they're quite different. A lot of the native fish have been displaced. And also, sometimes the water that is put back into the river from Indian Point, well, it's always hotter, which makes a barrier for the fish, but sometimes there are traces of radioactivity, and that's one of the things that escapes from the plant as well. So, all in all, it'll be good to see Indian Point close. It's not over until it's over, but
amen to that.
It'll certainly be better for the river and for our whole community. I'd like to add one more point here, and then I'll let somebody else talk. But that is, with climate change coming up, you hear so much about how nuclear is good for the climate because it's carbon-free, which is a lie. It's not. Nothing is. And then you also hear about, so many environmentalists are now giving nuclear a second look and are now going back to nuclear. And all of that stems from the Nuclear Energy Institute, which is really the lobbying arm for the industry. And you can tell that because all of those articles have the same talking points. They never mention the waste, which is 240,000 years of toxicity, lethal deadliness. And that's just such a lie to start putting out nuclear power as a solution to climate change. The last plant that was built in this country, Vogtle, was started. It's very much in question now. 14 years is over schedule, and $17 billion over budget. So, how do you plan on building enough of these things that make a difference? Because it's like you need hundreds of them anyway if you go along with the pro-nuclear scenario. So there's a lot of stuff under the cover that a lot of people don't stop to think about. You certainly don't hear in mainstream media. And it's all there at Clearwater.
Yep. You're right. I was having a Twitter discussion with a proponent of the smaller, less centralized nuclear plants that he was advocating for them as they're air cooled, and so they don't have an issue with water use. And I said, well, that's interesting. I don't know anything about them. Let me look that up. I said, what is their rate of deployment around the world? He said, well, they're not deployed yet. And I said, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Right. So you're offering solutions that don't exist.
That's right, and that's really
Yeah.
common in the industry. Talk to me when you have something off the drawing board and under license with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Until then,
That's right.
it's just somebody's dream.
That's right. I wanted to respond to a point you made before about the people being able to take stuff away from Clearwater. And what's so important, and what I found in promoting the calculator, is reaching kids. Kids eat this stuff up. They love it. And it's such a family-friendly environment. And there are so many kids at Clearwater, and they're all just getting all this really great information that hopefully is opening their eyes to some problems or giving them some hope for some of the problems they've already heard about and might be scared about. And it's just such a hopeful and I don't know, just a really celebratory atmosphere at Clearwater at the festival. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that for the kids.
Well, not just for the kids, but for the grown-ups too. My Lord, in this world we all need right now something that is upbeat, uplifting, and inspiring.
Yes, yeah. Well, right, but it's especially important not to scare kids, because this is scary stuff. This is.
Yep.
I mean, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a good coming together, and it reinforces the job that I think in different ways we're all doing, which is to pass on to these children a decent world that they can live in.
Here, here.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's June, 15th and 16th,
Right.
and that's at Croton Point Park, which is in Westchester County. You take the Metro North to Croton Point, and there are shuttle buses that will take you to the festival. Free shuttle buses, I should add. And then you let loose. You get a little program book that'll tell you who's on what stage, and tell you where the activist area is and where the crafts people are. I learned how to run a spinning wheel at one festival.
How many times have you used that since then?
Never since. But it was so neat because, yeah, it's the sort of thing you see in movies, and here I got to do it in real life. And there's a lot of neat stuff going on because the crafts people, they have all the things that they made. So you can talk to them about what they made. And of course, they're very happy between customers to talk about what they love so much.
Hey, and if you're if you're a craftsperson out there, there are still positions open for vendors.
And so the Hudson line, of course, of Metro North to Croton Point Park. It's half hour, 45 minutes from Grand Central Station, and you can get tickets. Clearwater has donated tickets to WBAI.
Now, that's a limited amount of tickets.
Limited number, yes.
You can always go to clearwaterfestival.org to get your tickets.
So if you go to give to WBAI.org, and
that's a way to go.
And the limit has already been reached, then you'll have to go to clearwaterfestival.org.
And we will be getting more also at WBAI, so check in.
Yeah, it's if they're sold. What they're doing is giving us a few more every day. So because they want us to be talking about the festival every day, and as the media partner, we should.
And will.
And will, yeah. So you'll hear about this on other WBAI shows. And we're almost coming to the end because I want to end the show with David Burns' Just One Earth. David Burns is a wonderful musician. He tends to perform with a lot of different people. So you may see him on several different stages with several different musicians. He has written songs with Pete Seeger. He was on the Solartopia that I opened the show with. That was Pete Seeger, Dar Williams, David Burns, and the Rivertown Kids. And so Just One Earth is just a wonderful environmental song. Again, like Clearwater, it covers a lot of different environmental issues in one song. And when you have a songwriter as good as David Burns, you can put them all in, and they fit. And so we're coming to the end of the show. So
So we did have a special, exciting moment, but we just got the speakers are in intense discussion. So
wow.
MJ, why don't you just speak for the RPC?
MJ must be back at the meeting also.
There is
Okay, hello, this is the RPC meeting. RPC meeting is saying good night, WBAI audience.
Come to the festival, June 15th and 16th. We need attendees and volunteers.
love it.
Okay, well, thank you, MJ. Thank you, Marilyn Ellie from Indian Point Safe Energy Coalition, and thank you, Robin, from with all the work you're doing on helping save water. And your work is going to become more important every single year as we start running out of water. So good that you're doing that.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us, Ken.
And
Thank you, WBAI, for all that you do.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate it.
And
This is Donna Stein and
Ken Gale
for Ecologic.
And thank you. And Out FM is coming up next, so you want to stay tuned for that. And if you came in the middle of this show, it'll be on the WBAI.org website in about 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll stay there for at least 90 days. So thanks for listening, and here's David.
And it will also be on the environment. It will also be on the Environment TV on YouTube.
I am Fukushima.
Thank you,
I
Charlie.
gave so you could see. I gave my land, my people, and my houses by the sea. I gave my farms, my cattle, my flowers.
Every day is Earth Day. I'm Ken Gale, and I'm with Donna Stein, and this is Ecologic for March 12, 2019, here on WBAI New York, 99.5 FM and WBAI.org. We have a multi-issue show today: water, pipelines, nukes, renewable energy, and more. But first, in today's news, a new Ecologic premium, solar jobs, solar schools, a sit-in at Senator McConnell's office, massive Atlantic seabird deaths, and 3 events to go to.
The premium we had planned to offer during the past fund drive is available now on www.give2wbai.org. It's a multi-issue package of 4 CDs and 1 DVD, 5 different episodes of Ecologic on CD, including drinking water, bottled water, fracking, the health effects of indoor plants, and demystifying the electricity grid, plus a DVD of Ken speaking on Connect the Dots talk, where he connected the issues of fracking, pipelines, radioactive radon in your kitchen, number 6 fuel oil conversion, Navajo uranium mining, really important, renewable energy, electric cars, and Reagan's environmental policies, all yours for a $100 donation via www.give2wbai.org. There's also an environmental music package now. Type Ecologic into the search box at give2wbai.org.
I heard a rumor from the New York City Sierra Club that the New York City Solar Schools project was canceled. I'm happy to tell you that not only is it not canceled, it's being expanded. In fact, 35 New York City schools have already had solar panels installed on them. That's one reason why the greenhouse gas footprint of the city is shrinking.
According to Yahoo Finance, solar panel installer is the fastest growing job in 8 different states: California, Hawaii, New Mexico, Florida, North Carolina, Missouri, Minnesota, and New Jersey. According to Washington Governor Jay Inslee, it's the fastest growing job nationwide. Renewable energy rocks.
OpenSociety.org reported that hundreds of Kentucky high school students and climate campaigners with the youth-led Sunrise Movement had waited for a week outside the Kentucky office of Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and were ignored. So, They went to his Washington office to deliver 100,000 petition signatures and stage a sit-in to make clear to lawmakers that young people want a Green New Deal to reverse climate chaos. Over 40 of them were arrested. According to a poll in Business Insider magazine, over 80% of all Americans support a Green New Deal, and for most of the key components, nearly 90% support them.
Just when you think the people have spoken and thrown out a corporate-sponsored politician, he appears again as a corporate lobbyist. Over 50% of former politicians become lobbyists. Now, Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. agreed on the working NAFTA 2.0, but it has yet to be ratified by the House of Representatives, which has some members who do not like it because it's bad for labor, bad for environmental issues, and gives a lot of power over to government rules and regulations to corporations. Duh. So those corporations hired pro-TPP former New York Congressman Joe Crowley to lobby his former colleagues, and they're spending a lot of money to get NAFTA 2 passed. Please contact your own congressional representatives and ask them not to ratify it. Please. The congressional switchboard is 202-224-3121. You can find out who represents you and also leave a message urging them to vote against NAFTA 2.0.
What was that phone number again?
202-224-3121. Reject Crowley and his corporate interests.
And there's something called New York Build going on at the Javits Center right now. Today it was on today, and it'll be tomorrow. It is free. It is oriented towards homeowners and building managers, but it's just a big dealer's room. It's a lot of vendors, and a few of them are environmentally oriented, and there's also a lot of talks. It used to be that they considered the panel discussions to be such a minor part of things that they'd be sort of like tucked away in the corner and you couldn't hear anybody. The most popular panel at New York Build is Women Architects, and they are having a lot more women-oriented panels this year, including one on women builders. So that's at the Javits Center. It's the 38th Street end of the Javits Center. So that's all the way by the Hudson River in Manhattan. And again, it's free. It might be, if you're a renter, there may not be much for you, but if you're a homeowner or a building manager, there is something for you.
Hey, there's something you can do. It's not too late to get your comments in to help stop the Williams NESE pipeline. Send your comments to stopthewilliamspipeline.org/send comment. We can stop this pipeline. You can also call Cuomo at 877-235-9537.
Repeat that one?
877-235-6537. Let me correct that. 6537. Call Governor Cuomo. Tell him we can stop this pipeline.
Some of you may have seen photos of the Pacific Ocean seabirds that died from mistakenly eating plastic. The UK Guardian has articles on seabird deaths in the North Sea of the Atlantic Ocean. Some nesting colonies have lost 98% of their birds, and the birds that are left are often unhealthy as they have to fly further and further to find something to eat. Tens of thousands of dead seabirds washed up on Dutch beaches recently, and no cause of death has been found, though chemical pollution from a wrecked container ship is suspected. For more details, I link to 2 articles on our Ecolinks page.
The worst climate catastrophe that could happen in a nuclear war, even a limited one. The resulting nuclear winter, where there would be so much fallout and dust, it would literally block out the sun, would destroy nearly every ecosystem and every farm. There will be a conference at New Jersey Institute of Technology in Newark all day on Sunday, April 14th. Keynote speakers are Daniel Ellsberg and Robert G. Lifton. Wow. Admission for students is free. There is a small charge for non-students. For more info and to register, go to www.njit.edu/nuclear free. Also want to tell you that New York City Friends of Clearwater is having their monthly gathering on the 15th. That's this coming Friday. Nantosh, I'm going to not do justice by his name. Nantosh of Food and Water Watch is going to be talking about the Dan Scammer plant. That is stopping the Dan Scammer plant is something that Clearwater is working hard to fight. But come to on the third Friday of every month. Come to New York City Friends of Clearwater's gatherings. There's always a potluck, live music, and a lively discussion, environmental discussion.
And 350.org will have a Green New Deal forum on Wednesday, March 20th at 7 p.m. at the New York Society for Ethical Culture, 64th Street and Central Park West. That's Wednesday, March 20th, 7 p.m., 64th Street and Central Park West. And the 2020 Gallery has an art exhibit tied with the 40th anniversary of the 3 Mile Island nuclear disaster. It's at 323 West 39th Street, 5th floor, between 8th and 9th Avenue, free to the public. They're showing movies from Japan and the U.S. on the 17th and the 30th. So that's 323 West 39th Street. The art gallery and the artwork will be there for the rest of the month. The anniversary of 3 Mile Island is the 28th, and the next episode of Ecologic will feature 4 guests explaining what's going on over there.
I neglected to say the address of New York City Friends of Clearwater's gathering on Friday. Friday, the April 15th, is going to be at the Judson Memorial Church, which is in the Assembly Hall, which is 238 Thompson Street at 6:30. And please come.
And Thompson Street is in the West Village, so if you go to Washington Square, you'll see Justin Church, and go down Thompson Street.
All are invited.
And so, if you miss any WBAI show, it'll be on the WBAI.org archives 5 or 10 minutes after the show ends. To read the full articles we summarize on any episode of Ecologic from the past few years, including today, I link to all those articles on the EcoLinks page of the Ecologic website, www.ecoradio.org, ECORADIO.org. Our Facebook page is WBAI Ecologic, no spaces or dashes, WBAI Ecologic, and please click like. For more environmental news, go to theenvironmenttv.com, biologicaldiversity.org, or ecowatch.com. You can find past episodes of Ecologic on many different websites. WBAI.org archives, theenvironmenttv.com, my own permanent archives. They all have different shows for you to listen to or watch. There's a direct link to all those shows on the past guest page. www.ecoradio.org is the main Ecologic page, and will get you to the past guest page, EcoLinks, or the archives. ecoradio.org. When your air or water is clean, thank an environmentalist. If not, become one. Enough said.
Now, you might have heard the big news that Clearwater is all set to go with the Clearwater Festival on Father's Day weekend in June. And to honor that, WBAI is giving out tickets. If you call in...
Well, not giving them exactly.
No. Yeah, no.
We ask for a donation.
For a donation of $95, you can get which is the early bird price. We're already past the early bird. So it's the early bird price to help support WBAI 100% of the